They can participate, and we want them to participate in our programs inside the prison facilities. They are not permitted to live at Valor Ridge. Now, let me repeat that. Men with sex-related charges are not permitted to live at Valor Ridge. Now, if a man qualifies himself for our aftercare program, the day he is released from prison, we pick him up at the prison gate. He is taken out for a good meal. He's provided with clothing, groceries, housing, and a family of men who will spend the next 12 months loving him, encouraging him, and equipping him to become the man that God designed him to be. So our aftercare discipleship program is divided into 2 6-month phases. During the first 6 months, there is a strict regimen with high accountability. During this phase, our men live in community housing, and they participate in a variety of classes on manhood, ongoing discipleship and accountability, church attendance, recovery meetings, mentoring, and community service. There is a house manager and/or Men of Valor staff present 24/7. These men during first phase work 2 days a week with one of our incredible job partners, Essex Bargain Hunt, if any of you are familiar with them. They greatly assist us in job readiness training and helping our men establish a solid work ethic. I was telling the CFO at Essex about our meeting tonight with you, and he voluntarily said, if you ever need me to write a letter or speak to someone about your men, just let me know. We love your guys, and they have been a great blessing to our team at Essex. He said the man who trains and supervises the Men of Valor guys came in my office last week just to thank me for setting up this partnership. He loves working with your men. And participate, and we want them to participate in our programs inside the prison facilities. They are not permitted to live at Valor Ridge. Now, let me repeat that. Men with sex-related charges are not permitted to live at Valor Ridge. Now, if a man qualifies himself for our aftercare program, the day he is released from prison, we pick him up at the prison gate. He is taken out for a good meal. He's provided with clothing, groceries, housing, and a family of men who will spend the next 12 months loving him, encouraging him, and equipping him to become the man that God designed him to be. So our aftercare discipleship program is divided into 2 6-month phases. During the first 6 months, there is a strict regimen with high accountability. During this phase, our men live in community housing, and they participate in a variety of classes on manhood, ongoing discipleship and accountability, church attendance, recovery meetings, mentoring, and community service. There is a house manager and/or Men of Valor staff present 24/7. These men during first phase work 2 days a week with one of our incredible job partners, Essex Bargain Hunt, if any of you are familiar with them. They greatly assist us in job readiness training and helping our men establish a solid work ethic. I was telling the CFO at Essex about our meeting tonight with you, and he voluntarily said, if you ever need me to write a letter or speak to someone about your men, just let me know. We love your guys, and they have been a great blessing to our team at Essex. He said the man who trains and supervises the Men of Valor guys came in my office last week just to thank me for setting up this partnership. He loves working with your men. 70% of individuals who are released from prison in the United States will return within 3 years. That's crazy. Significantly better than the national average, the state of Tennessee has a 55% recidivism rate. And we know the Men of Valor has played a role in that statistic. In fact, if a man just graduates our 6-month program inside the prison, he has about a 40% chance of going back to prison within 3 years. That's still not good, but it's almost cutting the national average in half of just spending 6 months with us inside the prison. If a man graduates the first 6 months of our program outside our discipleship program, but doesn't complete the full year, he has about a 30% chance of going back to prison. But the recidivism rate for a man who graduates our 1-year aftercare discipleship program is less than 10%. We are heavily involved in these men's lives. And if there are signs that a man is losing heart for what we are offering, we deal with it quickly and appropriately. And a man is never told to just pack his bags and leave. We do not want any of these men to be homeless if they do choose to leave our discipleship program. We find a place for them to go, and we personally transport them to that location. And just to be clear, this is really important to me. Though lowering recidivism rates is a good thing, it is not the thing. What we believe by faith is that our success rate is 100%. In Isaiah 55, God says, my word that goes out from my mouth, this is God speaking, it will not return to me empty, but will accomplish what I desire and achieve the purpose for which I sent it. Every person who associates themselves with men of valor for any length of time will hear God's word proclaimed and the good news of Jesus Christ.
The aftercare program is challenging in many ways, and some men find it very difficult to submit to the structure in place. We don't take it lightly that the lives of these men are affected by our decisions. When a man violates the guidelines, we attempt correction by speaking truth in love. We go the extra mile with the extension of grace and exercise the principles found in Matthew 18:15-7, where we pull up with a guy one-on-one, then we take 2 or 3, and then we bring him before church. And Galatians 6:1 also says, as Pastor Vic mentioned earlier, that if we find a man that's in trespass, then he who is spiritual. We try to pull him up. We address the issues in hopes of restoring the man after exhausting everything at our disposal. And if we are forced to make a decision to dismiss a man, we then notify his PO of the circumstances, and together with the PO, we help the man find alternative housing better suited for his agenda. We ensure that the man is secure with housing and are not released back into the streets, and we communicate to each man that he is loved and is welcome to visit and to stay in contact. A very dear friend, Verna, who I always take the opportunity whenever I'm in her presence to remind her of the impact that she made in my life and teaching me about how I impacted the community and other people with the things that I did when I was out there in my darkness.
I'm a victim advocate. I've been a victim advocate for 25 years, ever since my sister-in-law was sexually assaulted and murdered. And that day it took me from being what my career path was, a stay-at-home mom, it put me on a completely different path because the pain that my family experienced, I didn't want anybody else to experience that. That began my journey to speak out for victims' issues and to help victims with their pain. And I've got to tell you, I didn't like offenders. I wanted them locked up. I didn't want any special programming. I wanted them to stay in prison forever. And through a series of events, he put me in a position where I began teaching victim impact classes. And that was a God thing in itself, that I would go into prisons and teach men, incarcerated men and incarcerated women, the impact of crime they had on their victims. And when I first started doing it, basically I really wanted to hammer into them the pain that they caused other people. But as a victim advocate, it didn't take me very long to realize that in my class were people who had layers upon layers upon layers of victimization. Now, I don't like excuses and I don't accept them, but I do want explanations. And so to explain that the people that were in our class had experiences that colored the way that they looked at the world. So we kind of changed the way we did our victim impact class. We wanted them to connect the dots of their own behavior, and they would do that in our class when we're talking about victims like child sex abuse, sexual assault, domestic violence, robbery. They'd experienced all of that. And when they would hear the impact to the victim, they began to think not only of their own victims that they had in their life, they would begin to think of, oh yeah, that sounds really familiar to me. I can tell you as a victim advocate that you don't have anything to fear from these men in this program. In fact, I hope that if you knew the truth, if you knew what I knew, and what I want to express to you is, you would be begging the state of Tennessee to use Men of Valor as a template across the state.
If there's any questions about the program in itself, Kurt will be addressing that primarily, as well as AC, especially from the men's point of view. If you got any questions on bricks and mortar or style of housing, David Miller, who you haven't met yet, he's our, I'm drawing a blank. Development director, sorry. So he plays both roles in raising money as well as building. So you can ask him questions. Any questions about financial or overall Men of Valor situation, you can ask me. And I'll probably chime in from time to time anyway. But that's the way we're going to handle the questions.
And we are Men of Valor.
I'm Karen Carlson from Mount Juliet, Tennessee, and we are Men of Valor.
I'm Donna Mango from Pleasant View, and we are Men of Valor.
Hello, I am Marla Wilt, and I'm from Murfreesboro, Tennessee, and we are Men of Valor.
My name is Kia Thompson. I'm from Antioch, Tennessee. We are Men of Valor.
My name is John Oman from Nashville, Tennessee. We are Men of Valor.
I'm Steve Bates, owner of Bass Tire, and we are Men of Valor.
My name is Andrew Marties. I'm from Nashville. I've been working for Bass Tire for about 10 months now, and we are Men of Valor.
Hi, my name is Brandon. I live in East Nashville. I go to Great Mar, and we are